Imagine waking up one day and seeing a completely different star in the sky.
No longer the warm, familiar golden glow of our sun, but perhaps something much bigger and brighter, or maybe even smaller and dimmer.
What if other stars replaced our sun? How would that change our world, our solar system, and life as we know it?
It's a wild idea, but when you consider how many different kinds of stars are out there in the universe, the possibilities are endless.
From scorching blue giants to tiny red dwarfs, each star has a unique set of characteristics that affect everything around it.
Our sun, despite seeming ordinary, is perfectly suited for life on Earth.
But what if in an instant another star took its place?
This is what-if explanations, and today we're exploring what could happen if other stars replaced our sun.
Before we dive into the wild what-ifs, let's appreciate the sun for a moment.
Our sun is a G-type main sequence star, which means it's just the right size and temperature to support life on Earth.
It's stable, provides the right amount of light and heat, and has been doing so for about 4.6 billion years.
Without it, life as we know it wouldn't exist.
The balance between the sun's energy output and Earth's distance from it creates the perfect conditions for liquid water, which is essential for life.
But what if we took that perfect balance and shook things up?
Let's start with a star on the smaller end of the spectrum, a red dwarf.
Red dwarfs are much cooler and dimmer than our sun, and they're the most common type of star in the universe. One famous example is Proxima Centauri, which is the closest star to our solar system.
So, what if we swapped out our sun for a red dwarf like Proxima Centauri?
First off, the amount of light and heat reaching Earth would drop significantly.
Red dwarfs emit far less energy than the sun, meaning Earth would cool down fast.
The sky would look much dimmer, and we'd likely see a permanent twilight-like atmosphere.
Without the sun's warmth, the planet would start to freeze.
Oceans would solidify, and any life that couldn't adapt to the extreme cold would quickly die off. However, red dwarfs have a long lifespan.
While the sun is expected to last another 5 billion years before it becomes a red giant, red dwarfs can burn for trillions of years.
So, if humanity somehow found a way to survive the cold, perhaps by living underground or using advanced technology, we could potentially have a much longer window of existence.
But let's be honest, life under a red dwarf would be tough.
The star's energy output wouldn't be enough to sustain ecosystems, and the Earth would become an ice-cold wasteland.
On the opposite end of the spectrum, we have blue giants. These stars are incredibly hot, bright, and massive.
Take Rigel, for example, one of the brightest stars in our night sky. If Rigel replaced our sun, we'd experience an entirely different set of problems.
First off, the intense heat from a blue giant would cook the Earth.
We're not talking about a slight temperature increase. We're talking about instant incineration.
Earth's oceans would evaporate, the atmosphere would be stripped away, and any life remaining on the surface would be vaporized.
Even if Earth was moved farther away to compensate for the star's heat, the radiation alone would be enough to make the planet uninhabitable.
Blue giants also have much shorter lifespans than stars like our sun.
While the sun will shine for about 10 billion years in total, blue giants burn through their fuel quickly, often in just a few million years.
And when they run out of fuel, they don't go quietly.
Instead, they end their lives in massive supernova explosions, potentially leaving behind black holes or neutron stars.
If Rigel were to replace our sun, we'd be in for a brief but dramatic existence before being obliterated by a supernova.
Betelgeuse is a red supergiant nearing the end of its life, and it's another fascinating candidate to consider.
It's much larger than our sun. If placed in the center of our solar system, Betelgeuse would extend past the orbit of Jupiter.
So, if Betelgeuse replaced our sun, we wouldn't have to worry about what life would be like. We'd be gone in an instant.
Earth, along with the other inner planets, would be engulfed by the massive star.
Even if Earth somehow survived, the energy from Betelgeuse would make the planet uninhabitable.
And then there's the fact that Betelgeuse is due to explode as a supernova sometime in the next 100,000 years.
If it replaced our sun, it wouldn't be long before the solar system was obliterated in one of the most powerful explosions the universe has to offer.
Supergiants like Betelgeuse are impressive to observe, but they're far too chaotic to support life as we know it.
Now, let's imagine replacing our sun with a white dwarf, the final stage in the life of a star like ours.
White dwarfs are small, dense, and dim remnants of stars that have exhausted their nuclear fuel.
In a few billion years, our sun will eventually become a white dwarf. But what if that transformation happened now?
White dwarfs don't produce much light or heat, so Earth would quickly become a frozen wasteland.
Without the sun's energy, life would be snuffed out.
Plants wouldn't be able to perform photosynthesis, temperatures would plummet, and the atmosphere would likely freeze over.
The only creatures that might survive for a while are those living deep in the ocean, near hydrothermal vents, where heat from the Earth's core still seeps out.
However, white dwarfs are incredibly stable and can last for billions of years.
If humanity could find a way to harness alternative energy sources or move underground, it's possible we could survive for a time.
But the Earth as we know it, full of thriving ecosystems and warm climates, would be gone.
Neutron stars are some of the most extreme objects in the universe.
Formed after massive stars explode as supernovae, they're incredibly dense, so dense that a single teaspoon of neutron star material would weigh about 1 billion tons.
But what if one of these stellar remnants took the place of our sun?
Earth's orbit would be disrupted and the planet could be torn apart by the intense gravitational forces.
Even if Earth somehow managed to stay intact, the lack of sunlight would be a major problem.
Neutron stars don't emit much light, and any radiation they do emit is deadly.
Life on Earth would be wiped out almost immediately, either from the gravitational forces or the lack of energy.
A neutron star might be fascinating to observe, but it's not a replacement for the life-giving sun.
Binary star systems, where two stars orbit each other, are common in the universe.
So what if our sun was replaced by a pair of stars?
How would life on Earth be affected?
If the two stars were similar in size to our sun, the Earth might be able to survive.
However, the complex gravitational interactions between the two stars could create chaos.
Earth's orbit would likely become unstable, causing extreme climate shifts.
We might experience periods of intense heat, followed by deep freezes, depending on how close we were to each star at any given time.
Seasons as we know them would disappear, replaced by unpredictable weather patterns.
Another potential issue with binary systems is the potential for increased radiation.
If one of the stars in the pair was more massive or hotter than the other, Earth could be exposed to dangerous levels of radiation.
Even if the planet wasn't destroyed, life would have to evolve to withstand these new conditions.
Okay, black holes aren't technically stars, but they're what's left behind when massive stars die.
So what if we replaced our sun with a black hole?
First of all, it's important to note that a black hole wouldn't immediately suck in the Earth or the other planets.
If the black hole had the same mass as our sun, the planets would continue orbiting it in much the same way.
However, without sunlight, life on Earth would end quickly.
The planet would freeze over, and no amount of technological advancement could stop it.
But what about the gravitational pull of the black hole?
Over time, it would likely distort the orbits of the planets, pulling them closer or flinging them out into deep space.
Eventually, Earth might get too close to the event horizon, the point of no return, and be torn apart by tidal forces.
Black holes are fascinating, but as a replacement for the sun?
Not ideal. Now let's go even bigger.
What if, instead of just one star, we replace the sun with an entire cluster of stars?
Star clusters are groups of stars that form together and are gravitationally bound to each other.
How would this affect Earth and the solar system?
First, the gravitational pull from so many stars would wreak havoc on the solar system.
Planets, moons, and asteroids would be pulled in all directions, leading to chaos.
Earth's orbit would become unstable, and the chances of the planet being flung out of the solar system or crashing into another star would be high.
Even if Earth somehow survived the gravitational forces, the amount of radiation from multiple stars would make the planet uninhabitable.
The sky would be constantly filled with bright, scorching light, and the intense heat would quickly evaporate any water on the planet.
A star cluster might be beautiful to look at, but it's not the kind of place where life can thrive.
So, what have we learned from all of this?
The sun may seem ordinary, but it's the
perfect star for supporting life on Earth.
Its size, temperature, and stability are all key factors in creating the conditions that allow us to exist.
Replacing the sun with any other type of star would have catastrophic consequences for our planet and life as we know it.
From the freezing cold of red dwarfs to the scorching heat of blue giants, each type of star brings its own challenges.
And when you throw exotic objects like neutron stars, black holes, and star clusters into the mix, the outcomes become even more extreme.
At the end of the day, we're incredibly lucky to have the sun.
It may not be the biggest or brightest star in the universe, but it's just right for us.
So next time you look up at the sky, take a moment to appreciate our sun, because if other stars replaced our sun, life on Earth would be very, very different.
Thanks for watching.
If you enjoyed this dive into the cosmos, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more mind-bending what-if scenarios.
This has been What If Explanations, and I'll see you in the next one.